في المستقبل ماذا لو تم اختراع حبة ممكن تاخذها أو عقار يمنحك السعادة، يضبط كيمياء العقل خلاص تصير سعيد وتمشي أمورك. هل هذا ممكن يكون حل؟
That's a beautiful question. So we're very close to developing the happy pill, and in some
أوه.
ways, people are taking pills that they think make them happy.
To raise the dopamine and
Right.
yeah.
So um, notice the question. The question has to do with whether or not we're going to take the pill.
Mhm.
Right. So now, presumably, we're asking when we ask that question, we're asking about the value of that kind of mental state.
Mm.
Right? So is that kind of brain state a valuable one or not? We're asking about we're asking a question about the value of a particular psychological disposition, right? So in much of Anglo-American philosophy, pain had been seen as a morally bad thing, and pleasure had been seen as a morally good thing without qualification, right? So the way we would judge, the way some philosophers thought we should judge actions, is in terms of how much pleasure and pain they would result in. So that a utilitarian or other kinds of um, philosophers who take the same position would say we need to calculate how much pleasure or pain the action would result in, right? So that would be how we would decide whether it was a good or bad action. Here, what your question raises is the problem of understanding the moral status or the value, let's say, of pain and pleasure themselves,
Mm.
right? So you're saying, should I choose a life, for example, that maximizes pleasure? Or should I choose a life, for example, that maximizes this manipulable psychological condition you're calling happiness? So, as I said, philosophers equivocate a little bit with respect to this term happiness. That on the one hand, happiness has the evaluative component, on the other hand, it has this descriptive component. The descriptive component is the kind of thing that we'd say, well, this brain state here is, we call it happy, and that's the one we take the pill to produce. And our question is, should we take the pill? Should we take the pill is a question of, a decision as to which physical condition, psychological condition is better or worse, right?
Mm.
So, in that sense, we already see that there are more significant normative questions than are answered by just being in the state of happiness in the brain. Um, I think maybe it's a very beautiful question.
Would you take that pill?
No, I would not take the pill.
Why?
Um, I think that many of the most significant or meaningful parts of our being involve discomfort, involve pain, involve suffering. I think if I were incapable of experiencing unhappiness, that it might close off aspects of my experience that I take to be morally significant.
Mm.
If the pill just made me feel a condition of bliss or contentment, I certainly wouldn't take it. I think it's important that we be able to, for example, sympathize with the suffering of others.
Yes, yes.
I think it's important that we feel less than content, given that if we are content, that means in some sense we're content with the way things actually are. If we're content with the way things actually are, then we are in some sense affirming that this is the best way things can be. and it's not. So if I were in a condition of contentment in the actual world as it actually is, I would be deceived. I'd be affirming a falsehood in some sense, that this is the best way things could be. It's not. So I guess I wouldn't want to lose access to discontent.
Nice. Nice.
I think that, so of course, if it just meant that I would feel pleasure, then that's trivial. That's not really that interesting. But I think what you mean is, by a happy pill, it's a contentment pill. And yeah, I wouldn't want that. I don't think we should want that.